Alright y'all, thanks for tuning back in the channel. Do a little how-to tonight on something I've been wanting to do for a minute, just hadn't had time, so I thought I'd sit down and get started on it tonight. I happened to find a few rods in a dumpster on a job site in kind of a rich neighborhood. Obviously they didn't find it worthy to take the time to put some work in these rods. They just need a little help and they're going to be perfectly usable again. This particular one, it's a Bill Fisher boat rod. It's got the rod holder tip on the back. It's got some nice guides here, even a roller guide on the tip. Y'all can see that. Pretty solid rod. I think this would be really good to use with a nice heavy duty conventional reel. The only issue with it, well, I think they got rid of it, is the handle is all chewed up. Probably just from being on the rod holder and getting hooked up and pulling against it and rubbing against the edge of the rod holder. I feel like this thing could get plenty more years of use out of it. We're just going to replace this old foam and we're going to do a paracord wrap to kind of clean it up, customize it, make it look cool, and give me something, you know, I can be proud of. I customize it myself. So we're going to get started here. And only materials I got so far is I got some 5/32 inch black paracord. I tied a little loop of some braid that I'm going to use to pull the paracord back under itself later whenever we're finishing up the last few wraps. You pull it back under so it secures it tight. And I'm going to have to go out and get a lighter because we'll end up burning the ends of it to seal the paracord back up, and a pair of scissors because we're going to cut a little bit of the inside out of there. But that's all you should need. We'll be back in just a second and we'll start demoing this old foam out and start. Alright y'all, we're back. I got the lighter, got the scissors. First thing we got to do is go ahead and strip this foam off. So I'll get started on that. Never really done it before, so I don't know the exact best way, but I got this knife with a serrated edge. I want to see if it works good for stripping it off. I'll let you know which way I find works best. Serrated edge seems to be doing pretty good chopping right through the foam. I got a razor knife in my pocket too. I thought I'd try if this wasn't working good, but for right now this is going just fine. Alright y'all, we're back after we got all that bottom handle cleaned off. I think I'm just going to focus on doing this one for the video. I'm probably eventually going to do the top two, but if you do the bottom, the top's going to be the same way. So I'll probably show you guys a finished product once I get them both done. We're going to start on getting ready to get the paracord on here. First things first, we're going to, these come pre-melted on the end, so that the inner strands don't separate from the outer sheeting. We're going to cut that off because we actually need to get rid of some of the inner strands. What you want to do is pull about 2.5 inches out and cut these inner strands off. You want to be able to pull the black sheeting out and have a nice flat spot is really what the goal is, so it'll lay flat underneath your wraps. Apparently I need to cut a little more because that wasn't quite enough. Alright, almost there. I need to cut just a little more. Obviously it looks like you need to cut more strands than you thought you would, because by the time you stretch the outer sheath back out, it kind of shrinks up a little bit. You want to have a good 2.5 inches of nice flat unsheathed or unstranded sheath to go underneath your first wrap. So now that we have that, we're going to start. I think it's best to start on the back side. So since this is a conventional rod, I'm going to start opposite of where the reel will go. I'm going to lay this flat piece on the back and then start making my first wrap all the way down here at the reel seat, pulling as tight as I can, and then keep one finger on the end of the paracord, and then make 4 or 5 wraps until you get as tight as you can, until you can get the wraps all the way past where your initial paracord was, and that'll hold it in place so that you can keep pulling these wraps all the way around this handle all the way till you get up to the top. Now that I got it started, you want to really make sure that these are all rolling down tight together. So before you get too far, make sure they're folding in there nice and smooth and even. And if you need to, you can always back up, unwrap a wrap or two, and start over to make sure you're getting them to stay seated where you want them. Because you don't want them to be zigzag. You won't be really happy with the final product if you don't have it all laying nice and smooth. Now we got them all lined up, I'm just going to hold tension on it and just kind of guide it in there with my finger as I'm running it up the rod handle. Like I said, I'm holding this tension on it to try to make it as tight as possible. One thing I'm noticing so far is that this is starting to get really twisted on me. It's probably going to be better for me to cut more than I think I'm going to need, so I can have the end that can spin so this doesn't go on and twist up on me. It's going to be better if it lays nice and smooth. So I'm going to let off that. I'll probably have to put some tension back onto the last couple wraps I did. Go ahead and get the end of this cut off so the end can just spin itself as I'm wrapping this. Like I said, go ahead and get this thing all pushed back down nice and solid. Don't be afraid to back up a time or two if you need to, just to get back to where you like how it's sitting. It doesn't have to be a race. Just take your time and put as much pride in it as you want. If you're just looking to do a quick little fix, you don't have to worry about it as much. But if it's something you're wanting to enjoy for many years to come, it's best just to take your time and do it right the first time. Alright, y'all, we got the handle all the way wrapped up to right down to where the reel sits. And what we need to do next is go ahead and make a cut. We want it to tuck back in there about the same that we folded under down here. So we want to cut the sheathing that long, and then we need to pull it back and cut the inner cords out like we did. Because when it's thinner, it'll be easier to pull it underneath all these wraps when they're so tight. Once again, it's probably best to put that, if you can get it to where you pull it back on the back side of the reel, opposite of where the reel is, it's probably ideal. So that's the back side right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut it to the length I want it. It's okay if you lose a little tension here, because we're going to have to re-wrap it anyway. So go and get your strands pulled out. Ooh, sorry about that. We're in the man cave. We got guitars and instruments around. Get the cords cut out and pull your sheathing out. Try to get as much flat spot as you need. Like I said, about 2 to 2.5 inches. Kind of getting the hang of how much of the inner cord you got to pull to get the flat spot you want. It seems like you end up cutting about double the length of this compared to the flat spot you want in the outer sheathing. But you can keep making tries at it. You don't want to end up cutting too much. There, now I get a nice good 2.5 inch flat spot. We're going to back off about 4 or 5 wraps now. And this is where that the loop of fishing line, I mean, this is 25-pound braid, I think. We're about to see if it's strong enough. I hope I don't bust it. I might have to double it up and do two different coils just to get it enough strength to be able to pull it underneath these tightly wound wraps. So we're going to put it in on the back side of the reel like I was saying, and rewrap around this braid, and we're going to use the fishing line to pull their tag end around, and that'll put tension on the whole thing. So go ahead and tightly wrap your last few wraps back around over top of the fishing line. I use braid because it's kind of the thinnest. I mean, I wouldn't see why you couldn't use mono or something else, but I think the thinner is the better in this case. Okay, now I'm back to where I got my tag in. I'm going to put it through the loop that we just put underneath all them wraps. And then we're going to hopefully use this fishing line to pull this tag in underneath. And when we do, it'll be settled into place where it can't come back undone. It is a pretty tight fit though, so you got to work it in there. Maybe I wrapped them a little too tight. I'm not getting it to pull back through, but I'll start the video back up once I get that pulled under and let you know what I found out the trick to be. I might get a little precision screwdriver or something where I can get under there. I think once the tip of it gets in there, it should pull the rest of the way through. Alright y'all, that's a little bit of a learning curve, but I figured you can learn from my mistakes. What I ended up doing is I unwrapped it again, and the one strand of 25-pound braid just wasn't quite enough tension to allow me to pull the tag end back through. It ended up breaking on me, so I just I took 3 strands and made them into like a triple loop, and that was enough tension. I was able to pull it back through once I laid it back in there. And then also when I was doing these final like 4 or 5 wraps that I'm going to pull that tag end back through, I just didn't spin them on there quite as tight as I got the rest of these, just so there was just enough slack and a wiggle room I could wiggle that thing down in there. And with this being in between, it's going to add tension to these, so you don't have to worry about them coming loose. And that's what you're left with once you get that tag end pulled back in there. We're going to cut it off with the scissors as close as we can to these other wraps. You got a little bit of a freight in there. We just kind of want to take the lighter to it and make sure that melts closed and there's not a bunch of loose strands that are just going to wiggle themselves loose. If we got this nice heated up end, kind of push it with your fingers, get it melted all back together, and there you have it. And that part's kind of hidden on the back side of the reel, where the reel is, so it's on the underneath side. You're not going to see that one little burnt end. And there you have it, your finished product. It's a nice paracord wrapped rod handle. Like I said, I actually really like the feel of that too. It's got a nice good grip. There's not as much cushion as the foam maybe, but there's enough cushion there. It's not like grabbing just the graphite itself or the fiberglass, whatever rod you might be working on. And the black goes good with the colors on this reel since the foam is black. But you can do whatever kind of design you want to make, all kinds of different colors of paracord if you want to accent whatever color rod you got. But that's pretty much how to do it. I may do a time lapse of me doing this side, and I don't think I'm going to do it tonight. I might pick it up another day and show you what the final outcome of the whole project looks like. And then we got to pick out a reel to put on this thing. I don't do a lot of offshore fishing because I don't have a big enough boat, obviously. But I would like to be prepared, you know, with some bigger rods, bigger tackle in case I get invited out with somebody. I don't have to bum all their rods. Or I'm hoping we get some calm days without a lot of wind. Maybe even get out Mobile Bay, can fish on some of them rigs and stuff that are out there. We can get on some bigger fish. You might need a little bit bigger tackle. I was kind of looking at some different rod options for this, and I think I might go with the Penn Warfare on here. It's fairly inexpensive, but looks like a pretty quality rod, conventional rod. If you guys know anything about them, leave me a comment below. Tell me good or bad, or suggest another kind of budget-friendly rod. It's hard to spend a lot of money on a rod you found in the trash to put a real expensive reel on it, but you know, something that's going to be fairly dependable, but yet not break the bank. And if I do get something and I get it on this rod, maybe I'll do a review on it and let you guys know what I think and how well it's working. But thanks for watching the video today. Please stay tuned for more content. You know, I'm trying to get more out as much as I can. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe so you'll know when I post new videos and stuff. Thanks y'all for watching Halfway There Adventures. Alright y'all, it's night 2. Finally decided to get back to finishing the other half of the paracord wrap I did on this Sea Striker Bill Fisher 6'6" boat rod. And I did a little time lapse of me doing this side, just 100% of stripping it, putting it on, getting it tensioned up. Hopefully you can see from start to finish to see what the whole process looks like. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you got an old rod that you don't like using because the handle's getting chewed up or something's happened to it, or you just want to kind of make your own little custom rod, it's got your own little custom touch to it, give this thing a try and see how you can make it work out. Only thing left to do is get a nice reel for this.